Okay, so here's a quick video on setting up a Smart Zone AP. So I have, let me show you my topology real quick. I just received an AP, plugged it into my network, and it is searching around to see if it has any friends. But let me kind of walk you through the network that I have in my home. So I have just a sonic wall device on one of the interfaces. I set up just a little DMZ network so that I can isolate this new Ruckus wireless access point from my existing network, which also has Ruckus. So it's on a DMZ. I set up a DHCP server for interface X9. It's going basically from this into an unmanaged switch. So it just passes through and I should be able to see everything there. In fact, if I go into my ARP and I sort for interface X9, I might even be able to see it. And so I can see my laptop, which is .231. I can see an unknown device, which is .150. It's probably, this is my Ruckus AP, and here's my sonic wall. So I'm guessing that this is .150. But I can also go, if I jump here, no, not here. Sorry, if I jump here and I want to do a quick scan on the network and kind of see what happens. Curious to see what IP it has. I'm going to close that down and I think it was 150, right? Close. Sorry, by ping. Okay, so I had .150. So I think that might be our guy. So if I turn on the Wi-Fi of my phone, and if I start looking for wireless networks, I would expect that I'm going to see it. So I'm going to scan, and I see a device, a Ruckus wireless device, doing a configure me wireless network. So I can actually use that configure me wireless network to set it all up, or I can do this over the network. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when we go over the network. So I'm just going to take this IP, maybe copy IP, and we'll open up Firefox and see if I can configure it that way. I want to see if I can do that. That might be easiest. Oh, wow, what happened there? That does not fit. It doesn't like small screens. How about Chrome? Okay, so we'll go there. Connection is not private, the self-signed cert. I'm gonna trust it anyway. Okay, so this is initial configuration on my AP. It looks like it's 200.9.4. How does that compare with the version that's the latest on Ruckus? 209.10.4.212. And how does that compare with this? 4.202. So this is an older release. That's okay. We'll say we'll do a typical install, or I can even do the local upgrade with what I've already had. And that might actually be, well, we'll deal with that later. Local typical install, that works. Okay, what am I going to call this device? I'm going to call this R550. And I'm not meshing, so we'll go next. So do we want it to obtain its IP from DHCP, or do we want it to have a manual IP? I'm going to say manual. So my scope starts at 50. So the first address I think it would give us 51. So we'll go 40. So it'll be 10.21.33.40. Gateway is .1. DNS is 1, and secondary is that. That looks good. I do not want this to act as a DHCP server. If I check this, then it will act as a DHCP server, but I already have that set up on the other side of the network. My sonic wall is doing that. So we'll say next. Okay, so which extended service set, what's the name of the SSID, the wireless network I'm going to create? I'm going to say Wi-Fi 6 FTW. Great. And what's my password? It's going to be, let's say, 10 A's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that right? It looks like 10. Cool. All right, so we'll say next. Username is admin. We'll do a super secret password. And I'm not going to enable password recovery, but you can. And there's all that. And we will just hit finish, hit yes. And in just a minute, I should be able to see this rebooting and back on. So in fact, I'm going to copy this address. Copy, open this up. This is just me pinging the gateway. This laptop has both a wired adapter, which is connected to the same firewall and access point and through the same unmanaged switch. And then I have a Wi-Fi that's going to my old Ruckus, previous Ruckus environment. So I'm going to ping that. I just want to see, actually, it's not .150 anymore, is it? I told it to be .45. So let's fix that. Pretty certain I asked that to be .45. We'll give that a minute. That I can tell that I'm still on the network. This device, if I go to status, I can see that I'm still on that same network, still able to talk to its gateway. In fact, if I run another scan, I wonder if it's going to be .150 anymore. What do the icons show on this? It looks like it's still reprovisioning and rebooting. The green light is blinking, the first one. And we'll discard this previous scanning results and kind of scan around and see what we see. Oh, did we request timed out? What was, oh, was it .40? Okay, let's try that again. Look at that. Amazing what happens when you put the right IP address in there. Okay, so it's up already. What does this browser seem to think? It's configuring settings and rebooting. I might need to jump back in, so we'll go 10 dot, what is my number? Let's just copy this and change the last character to 40, right? Wonder if it's already up. Holy moly, it's already up. This is the new one. Have a look and see what we got. Awesome. So this is R550. That's the new one that I just set up. It's been up for 2 minutes. I can use a mobile app to set this up. But if I ask it if it's connected to the interwebs, it sees the gateway, DNS is unreachable, but connected to the internet. Okay, cool. So there are no wireless networks, no traffic in use, but I do have a Wi-Fi 6 FTW. So maybe we should join a client to that and see what that looks like. I think it was all A's for that. So let's join my Wi-Fi, my phone to that. I see the wireless network. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Connect. No internet. Looking for DHCP, I'm guessing. And connected. Okay, so that's now on. If I go on my phone and I look to see more details, I can see that I have an IP of .104. My link speed is almost a gigabit, which is ridiculous. I didn't know that was possible. Cool. Maybe if I refresh this, I should be able to see my wireless client. There it is. There is my my wireless client. Okay. And if I go to show details, I can get some details on the device, RSSI neg 50, excellent, VLAN 1. Yeah, I'm not doing anything crazy here. Oh, 80 megahertz wide channel. That would be why I've got such a high data rate. Yeah, I don't generally push 80 megahertz wide channels, but that's okay. So kind of cool to see. If I wanted to, I could even go into troubleshooting and I could run a connectivity trace on my phone. So if there's any problems going on in the network, I can turn it off and turn it back on. So it just disconnected and asked my phone to reconnect. And as it did, you can see that it disconnected it, deauthed it, basically, disassociation from the AP. Client reassociated. Everything looked like it happened with the four-way handshake. Do I have my, where is my connected? So I should see my DHCP in there as well, but maybe that's not going to happen yet. Should have been there. Oh well, whatever, it works. So we'll stop, clear. If we wanted to export that for grins, we could do that too. But yes, we have a client, we have a network, it's up. Okay, anything else going on? Don't show that again, please. Okay, what is this complaining of? Not electricity provided. Okay, it doesn't like the power injector that I'm using, and that's kind of cool that it actually sees that. Yes, I'm running a non-standard PoE injector for this, and it looks like I'm gonna not want to do that anymore. I can get specific on the AP and make some changes, which I'm going to show you what I recommend. So you can obviously change the name of this device. We're going to call this the R550 AP, whatever, right? 2.4. I'm going to turn off the channels that overlap. So I'm going to keep 1, 6, and 11. Channelization, I'm going to leave it auto. Channelization, I'm going to keep it 20 because I don't want to go wider channels. Transmit power, I'm going to go to -9. WLAN is enabled. We'll leave that there. RTS, CTS, we're going to have on. Call admission control, I don't mess with. So radio 5 gigahertz. We're going to keep those all on. Channelization, let's change that down to a 20 megahertz channel. We'll turn that on. I think we're actually missing some channels. In fact, we've got DFS turned off. So let's reduce our transmit power just a little bit. We'll okay on that. That might take a second for it to run, but there's a reason why we're not seeing quite as many channels as we should. If we jump on 5 gigahertz, I know that 5 gigahertz has a lot more than just, at least, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 channels. So let's jump in and fix that. So if you go into administration, I think, is it preferences, system? Oh, here we go. Country code. Okay, so we want to optimize for performance. We'll apply that. What that does is that enables more channels on the 5 gigahertz side, specifically the DFS channels. I don't know if you guys know much about the 5 gigahertz channel space, but there is the 5 gigahertz DFS channels. Something like this. So if I jump into the image, eventually we will see so by default, I was only seeing the Uni 1, Uni 2 channels, and then these Uni 3 channels at the end, 149 to 165. But these 52 to 144 are your DFS channels that are, per the FCC in the US, you have to transmit only at certain transmit powers. Weather radar exists 116 to 132, typically 120 to 128, but it can exist, this whole area is a little bit problematic. Running 80 megahertz wide channels, you don't have a whole lot of options, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you wanted to extend that out with 20 megahertz wide channels, you can run substantially more. So we'll jump back into where we're at, maybe go into our access point, highlight our guy, go back into edit, 5 gigahertz, and look at what changed. All of a sudden, I have so many channels available. And I'm just going to turn all of them on, and I'm going to let this AP do its own scan in the background, and it will find out which channels are used or unused, and everything should be fine. So we'll network, we're going to leave that as is. Other, I'm not doing anything else crazy here, so we're just going to okay on that. Okay, or just cancel, that works too. One other thing you can do, this is your global config. So you can say, you know, globally, if I add another AP to this environment, I want to make sure that it doesn't grab anything weird. So for 2.420 transmit power by default, we'll go, let's say -6. I do want by default my WLAN enabled on 2.4. On 5, let's see, by default, let's say maybe 20 megahertz. Transmit power, again, maybe -9. WLAN is on. Not worried about that. So that's all fine. Let's turn all of our channels on. It'll be fun. Or maybe you live in an area where you have a lot of DFS events and maybe you don't want to use these 116 through 128 or 132 even. If you have outdoor APs, they'll identify them as outdoors. This is an indoor AP, so it's just by default going to grab this. Anything else that you want to set up, if you want to do a model specific thing and say, look, I have an R550 and I want to disable the status LEDs on my device. And my PoE should be AT, not AF. Anything that you wanted to do there, you can do. And it looks like I did something to it. Let's have a look. Looks like it's having a hard time. We'll go back and fix that again real quick. Let's say 20, we'll leave that an auto channel selection. -8, that's fine, we're not worried about that. Okay, let's go back. Channelization 20 by default. We're gonna keep 140 and 165, but we're gonna get rid of 132 down to 116 with everything in between. That's all fine. Transmit power reducing. Did we reduce this one? We did. Okay, other, we're gonna leave that as finish. Okay, so by default, it knows what to do. We have a wireless network, we set that up. Admin and services, anything else to worry about? We have a name. This is the name of the controller, which is R550, but it doesn't matter. If you have more than one AP, you can tell it which the preferred master should be. You can enable email server, and I'll show you what that looks like. So if I minimize this and I bring up this other browser, I'll show you. Here's my other Ruckus controller with very similar credentials. And if I go to admin and services, and I think it's right here. So if you want to use this as kind of a guide on what to do to get your SMTP to work, you have to go into your Gmail server and enable POP or SMTP or something like that. I can't remember exactly what I did. You can Google this and you can find it. But this works just fine. I can send a test email from here. IP settings are about the same. I'm manually setting the controller to one of the controllers to 10, so I can go to 10. I have more than one device. I do have NTP there, country code, performance, roles. Actually, here I've got more than one AP. You can see I have an H510 and an R600. You can set up more than one role. I set up more than one user. You can enable mesh. For services, you can play with a lot of different options here. And let's kind of minimize this and go back to the new unit. That way you guys can see what's current. So I don't have any unique roles, no unique users, not enabling mesh. Let's go to the next one. So if you want to do anything fun with access control, you can. So I have on my other device, and just because I have it populated, I'll show you what that looks like. So on access control, I have a wireless LAN that denies my kid gadgets. And if I jump in here, you've got the MAC addresses of a bunch of different devices that are just disallowed from joining those networks. These are like phones and Kindles and things of that nature that I don't want on specific networks. I've got Alexa only. I've got an SSID that's basically only whitelisting certain Echo Dots for my kids. I don't have anything layer 3, layer 4, or device access or client isolation whitelists. That would be where you say, I want everything. I only want to exclusively allow people who join this network to be able to see my gateway, but also they can see my printer, and also they can talk to this one file share. So there you go in here and you add in the whitelist IPs of what you want them to also be able to see. But generally, if you turn on whitelisting, or sorry, if you turn on client isolation, any mobile client that joins that wireless network will be disallowed from talking to anything on the same, VLAN, same layer 2, layer 3 actually, well, layer 2, yeah, that same subnet with other than the gateway. So I join the network, I can only talk to the gateway and beyond. That's the standard. Application recognition and control, you can see kind of where things are going. That has to be turned on the wireless network. Dynamic PSK, I turned on, I played with, I don't really like. This is the new one, actually. No, it's not. Let's go back to the old one, or to the new one. So dynamic PSK, it looks like if I set one up, then I could, go in and I could, play with them. This looks very similar. Guest access service, you can set up a guest access portal. I haven't played with this on the new one, so I don't know what this does. Radio control is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna use channel fly on both 2.4. Background scanning, let's say 20 seconds on both sounds fine. I'm gonna not use 2.4 or 5 gigahertz load balancing or band balancing, and that's all fine. By default, radar avoidance pre-scanning is turned on in the US. That's an FCC rule. WIPs. So you can actually turn this on, which will deauth clients that are getting the wrong password. This just blocks them after 30 seconds of putting in the wrong password. You can turn on intrusion and perfection. This is default settings. You can turn this on as well, and this will deauth people that are doing rogue access points. So they're doing same SSID or things like that. But maybe I say I only care about MAC spoofing and SSID spoofing. I don't care about same network. I don't care about user blocked. But yeah, if you see rogue devices that are MAC spoofing or SSID spoofing, this will try to report those for you. If you have a rogue DHCP server you want to detect because maybe this AP is operating as a DHCP server, there you go. Rogue devices, this is just going to scan and say everything. Unfortunately, it's going to see, including, it's going to see my other APs, it's going to see neighboring devices. I got 41 devices here, and I can't actually change this. This is kind of absurd. I can't show more than, looks like 10 at a time. But anyway, you'll see, there's a single device. It's an R550 AP. In fact, that's this device. No, I saw that device. Okay, so if you wanted to see which device saw that thing, this CenturyLink, and this RSSI was not even that strong. You can mark them as known or malicious if you are really worried about that. Okay, URL filtering, Wi-Fi calling. Oh, really cool. I didn't know this could be set up. So this is a new feature. You can set this up. I'll make a separate one on this, but on my other AP, you couldn't set up Wi-Fi calling. It wasn't an option yet. Administration, you can do backup and restore. You can back up your settings. You can restore it to factory settings. If you want to upgrade it to a new OS, you can actually just go and check for updates. It's doing that on it right now. And it might even go to that newer release. Then there, it even saw the version 2.12. So it saw that as an option, and I can actually upgrade right there if I want to. Diagnostics is if you want to have it do pings. You can look through the logs, which are actually really cool to go through. You can do client troubleshooting. You can start it. You have to put in the MAC address of the client you want to talk to. If you want to change the certificate so it's not self-signed, you can generate the CSR. You can import the signed. You can back up private keys and back up certs. Verify network connectivity is kind of the same stuff that you were doing earlier, where you say, 1.1.1.1, can I talk to Cloudflare? It looks like I can, and this is from the AP, which is kind of cool. Network management, if you wanted to do anything, SNMP, if you have something for that, I recommend it. It's kind of fun. If you want to enable multi-site manager because you have multiple physical locations that each have Ruckus Unleashed devices, you can enable that and have it punch back to your Intune server for that. Kind of cool. And then last but not least, you can enable mobile management or disallow that. You can do, I don't have any remote user control set up, but kind of cool that you can have a mobile app on your phone that creates wireless networks and makes some changes. One other thing I was going to show you is some of the settings I have in my existing Ruckus controller that you might find interesting. So I have, as you saw, I wear a tinfoil hat, so I have a few different wireless networks. So this is the one for my kids. And I've got a specific list of devices that are basically pre-authorized, but I've got a Kindle and a new Kindle. I got some other device that just joined in. I can't remember what this is, but I could look it up. This is the one with the DPSK. And basically any devices that are in here on this list are disallowed from the other devices. In fact, this one right here, if I go in here to clients and I look on this device, I can actually rename it. And this is Clark. Oops. All right, so the Nexus 3. But I've got device names on almost everything because I like to know what's on my network. Again, I'm a little bit crazy. But I've got, bulbs and dots and doorbells and all sorts of different things that exist on my network. And you can see what its IP is. They've got different IPs, different subnets. You can see their MAC address. You can even mark them as a favorite, which makes it so that whenever they connect and disconnect, you get an alarm. I don't know why that's a favorite, but that's a thing. But again, so this wireless network is DPSK. They have a DPSK length, mobile friendly. I've set this all up. Same key can be used for different things, but if you wanted to, you can also just use this one for IoT devices that you add in with just a straight PSK that's not unique. I do have specific time schedule for this SSID. So my kids' devices, which are whitelisted on this SSID and blacklisted from all others, only exist at these times on these days. I did play with a little bit of this access control and I couldn't get it to work very well. Radio control is all pretty standard, but that exists there. Alexa Kids is for their A devices, and this also has another schedule. So if you jump onto advanced and WLAN priority, this starts about 6:30 in the morning and it goes until about 10, which is kind of cool. R600, which is the trusted for 5 gigahertz only type traffic. Again, I turned it on. I've just got a straight PSK, and then I don't have any time schedule on this. It's just access VLAN 1. I do have the Deny Kids Gadget Mac Layer OS access control list. Radio control is pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy here. I guess I could turn on roaming and the neighbor list report, but I don't have load balancing or band balancing turned on. And this is 5 gigahertz only, so it wouldn't worry about 802.11d. So that's all kind of cool. Last but not least is my IoT network that's disallowing my kids. And this one is a 24/7 for things like my doorbells. I have it on a specific separate VLAN because I don't trust this stuff. And then for access control, I do have uplink and downlink rate limiting turned on. I'm denying my kids' gadgets because it's running 24/7. It's always on. My radio control, it doesn't really matter that I have roaming because these are static devices. These are cameras and doorbells and things throughout the house. So anyway, there's plenty you can do in a Ruckus Unleashed portal. Hopefully this is helpful to you, getting your devices up and running. Again, you can use the mobile app to create new networks and modify networks and look and see what's going on. If you liked it, let me know. Thanks. Bye.